Jack opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt. Everything around him was blurry. He blinked a few times. The ceiling above him glowed a soft blue, like a sky underwater. He didn't know where he was. This was not his ship. This was not Earth. He tried to sit up, but his body felt heavy. Something cold touched his forehead. He turned his head slightly and froze. A girl, but not a normal girl. She had smooth silver skin that shimmered in the light. Her long hair floated, slightly like it was underwater. Her eyes were large, glowing purple and full of curiosity. She stared at him like he was the strange one. Jack gasped. The alien girl didn't flinch. She tilted her head and leaned closer. Her face was just inches from his. Her hand reached out and gently touched his cheek. Her fingers were warm and soft. "He's awake," she whispered in a strange accent. The words were slow and unsure, like she had just learned them. Jack pushed himself up with effort. He looked around. The room was round, with walls that seemed alive, pulsing gently, like breathing. Machines blinked softly around him. One of them was beeping in time with his heartbeat. "Where, am I?" he said. The girl blinked, then stood. Straight, she looked surprised he could talk. "No die," she said. "Still, functioning. Still functioning." Confused. "Who are you?" She hesitated, then pressed a glowing button on the wall. A soft hum filled the room. A round screen appeared, showing a strange map with symbols Jack didn't understand. "Zella," she said. "You, specimen." That word chilled Jack's spine. "Specimen," he repeated. "What does that mean? What did you do to me?" Zella. "Walk to the machine and type something in." Then she pointed at a large tube behind Jack. It was cracked open. Wires and fluids leaked out. Jack recognized a tit was an escape pod. His escape pod. The last thing he remembered was getting caught in a solar storm. His ship was falling apart. He jumped into the pod then. Nothing. Zella looked back at him. "Found you in Sky Shell," she said. "Falling ... like dead rock." Jack stared at the tube. So they rescued him or captured him? Zella walked closer again, her expression soft. "You sleep. Many cycles," she said. "Body ... repaired. Now you wake." Gutch. Jack looked down at himself. He was wearing a strange white suit. His skin had faint marks like injections. He felt sore in places he didn't understand. What had they done? "Why ... me?" he asked quietly. Zella looked at him for a long moment. "You are not like others," she said. "Your ... cells react with old things, old tech. Council wants to ... learn." X. Chest tightened. He was a science project to them. Zella must have seen the fear in his eyes. She stepped forward quickly and touched his hand. "No harm," she said. "I help. I curious. But not cruel." Jack looked into her eyes. They were kind, gentle, and ... lonely. He slowly nodded. "Okay," he said. "I believe you, but I need answers." Zella gave a small smile then. ... follow, I show." Jack tried to stand. His legs were shaky, but he managed. Zella offered her arm to help, hesitated, then took it. Her skin was warm, strangely comforting. As they walked toward the door, Jack whispered, "You said others don't want me to leave?" Zella didn't answer right away. She looked over her shoulder and said softly, "They think ... you too valuable." The door opened with a soft hiss. Beyond it, Jack saw a long, glowing hallway filled with strange alien creatures and machines. Looked like the inside of a living city. He stepped forward, but deep inside, a part of him screamed that something was very wrong. Zella stayed beside him, holding his arm. She smiled again. But behind that smile, there was something else. Something she wasn't telling him yet. And Jack knew this was only the beginning. Jack walked through the glowing hallway. Guided by the strange girl called Zella, her grip was light, but firm like she wanted to help him, but also didn't want him to run. Around them, the walls hummed with soft energy. Strange floating orbs passed by, scanning the area. Jack felt like he was being watched, not just by machines, but by the whole building itself. It was too perfect. Too quiet? Zella looked calm, but Jack noticed her eyes kept checking the corners. They turned into a wider room filled with crystal screens, alien texts, and soft blue chairs that moved when touched. The center of the room was a large round table. On it were glowing diagrams of him, his body, his organs, even his brain. Jack froze. "What is this?" he asked. Zella tapped the side of one screen. A hologram appeared, a 3D model of Jack's body. Red spots glowed around his chest and spine. "You were broken," she said softly. "We... fixed." He took a step back. "You mean you opened me up? Operated on me?" Zella nodded slightly. "Yes, but no pain. You sleep. No hurt." Jack's heart was pounding. "You had no right." Zella looked confused. "Your pod was dying. You inside. Weak. Almost gone." "I saved." She walked over to a smaller screen and pulled up a file. There, written in strange symbols and bits of English, were the words, "Specimen 0431, subject. Human male, responsive to old signal." "Why does it say specimen?" Jack asked, voice sharp. Zella lowered her head. Her voice dropped. "That's what the high scholars call you," she said. "Not me. I gave you name. Jack." Jack stared at her. "You read my file. You know my name." Zella nodded. "Yes." "I wanted to know you." He didn't know what to feel. Grateful, angry, afraid. The door to the lab slid open with a hiss. A tall, insect-like alien entered. Its eyes were like glass beads. It wore dark robes and moved slowly with pride. Zella's body went stiff. The creature looked at Jack and said in a voice like cracked ice, "The human is awake." "Good. Prepare him for the chamber." Jack took a step back. "Chamber? What chamber?" Zella quickly stepped between Jack and the creature. "He needs time. Strength." The alien cut her off. "He is not here to rest. He is here to activate the relic. That is his only value." Jack shouted, "I'm not going anywhere unless I know what's going on." The alien turned to him slowly. "You are here because your biology speaks to the old ones. Your kind's blood," goes the signal. "We've waited many years for one like you." Zella turned and grabbed Jack's hand. "Come, we go now. Before they bind you again." "Bind me," Jack said, eyes wide. "You mean strap me down?" Zella didn't answer. She pulled him through another door, this time into a tight, dim hallway. Pipes ran overhead. Alarms blinked silently in red.
Ow.
This path wasn't meant for guests. "Where are we going?" Jack asked as they hurried down the passage. Zella whispered, "Somewhere they do not know. I hide you." Jack stopped. "Why are you helping me? Aren't you one of them?" Zella looked at him, her eyes glowing gently in the dark. "I do not want to hurt. I want to learn. You, are different, not just a specimen. You speak, you fight." Jack stared at her. She had risked everything. "Why me?" he asked Zella. Hesitated, then she reached into a pouch on her belt and pulled out a small stone, shaped like a tear. It pulsed when she placed it in his palm. "When I touched you," she said quietly, "this lit up." Jack felt the warmth in his hand. "What is it?" "A relic of our past," she said. "It should only react to our royal bloodlines." "But it answered you." Jack looked at the stone, then at Zella. "So, what am I?" Zella stepped closer and whispered, "Maybe you're not a specimen, but you're something more." The door slammed shut behind them. Jack leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The glowing stone Zella gave him was still warm in his hand. Every time it pulsed, he felt like something inside him stirred, like a sleeping part of him was waking. Up. Zella checked the hallway one last time, then locked a second seal on the door. Her room was quiet, a little dark. The walls curved like a dome, soft and smooth, almost like being inside a shell. Strange floating lights hovered in the corners, dim and gentle. Jack looked around. I saw odd things, soft rugs made of feather-like threads, tiny singing stones on shelves, and a small bed made of what looked like glowing vines. It was nothing like Earth. "Is this your room?" Jack asked. Zella nodded. "Ah, yes, this is my private zone. No one scans here, no listening devices." Walked to a panel and pressed it. Shimmering curtain of light appeared across the room. Jack could feel it was a kind of sound barrier. "No one hears us now," Zella said quietly. Jack dropped into a round seat. "This is too much. I don't understand anything. Why me? Why now? And what is that relic thing?" Zella sat across from him, her long fingers curling together nervously. "My people were once connected to the ancients," she began. "The ones who built great machines, but the knowledge is lost. Our leaders search for someone who can speak to their tech. You think that's me?" Zella looked down. "No, they think that. I think you are more." Jack let out a breath. "This is insane. I'm just a pilot. I fixed satellites. I didn't sign up to be some ... chosen one." Zella smiled slightly. "Chosen one. I like that word." Suddenly, a small alert blinked red in the corner of her room. Rushed to it and touched the panel. Her eyes widened. "They're scanning for heat signatures in every room," she whispered. "They suspect I'm hiding you." Jack stood up. "Then I need to leave. I won't get you in trouble." Zella grabbed his hand. "No, you cannot go. They will capture you again." "This place. What do you mean?" Jack asked. Zella stepped closer, lowering her voice. "This facility is a research prison. They bring in beings from all over the galaxy. They study them, test them. Sometimes they vanish." Jack's eyes narrowed, like test subjects. Zella nodded. "Yes, but worse. The moment they confirm you can unlock more relics, they will ... cut. You open to find out why." A chill ran through Jack's spine. "I'm getting out of here," he said. Zella looked unsure. "The outer gates are locked. Only royal blood can open them." Jack slowly raised the glowing stone. "It's reacted to me, right? Maybe I can use it?" She stared at the stone. "Maybe?" They both turned as the lights flickered, then went out. A mechanical voice echoed faintly outside the door. "Unauthorized presence detected. Quarters will be opened for inspection." Zella's breath caught. "We're coming." Jack looked around quickly. "Where can I hide?" Zella pointed toward her bed. "Under. Secret tunnel. Old path." "I show." She pulled the glowing vines. Aside, beneath the bed, was a hidden hatch. She opened it and motioned for Jack to crawl inside. He climbed in quickly. The tunnel was narrow and full of strange warm air. It smelled like old metal and spices. "I'll meet you below if they don't take me," Zella said, eyes full of worry. "But what if they do?" Jack asked. Zella gave a sad smile. "Then you run." She closed the hatch. Jack lay still in the dark. Above him, he heard the door unlock. Heavy footsteps entered. A deep voice spoke in the alien tongue, harsh and cold. Jack heard Zella respond calmly. Her voice was steady, but he could hear the lie in her tone. She was protecting him. Then, ... silence. The door shut again. A moment passed. Then the hatch opened and Zella reached in. Her smile was brighter this time. "They believed me," she said. "I said I was meditating." Jack crawled out and looked at her with new eyes. "You risked everything." Zella just shrugged. "You saved me first," she whispered. "Now I return the gift." And Jack knew he didn't trust many things in this place, but he was starting to trust her. Asterisk. The air was different now, thicker, tense. Every hallway Zella and Jack walked through felt like it could close in on them at any moment. The lights above flickered yellow emergency status. Security drones flew faster. More soldiers walked past. Jack kept his head low, a hood covering his face, while Zella spoke confidently in her native tongue to every guard who glanced their way. But time was running out. "They are locking the inner zones," Zella whispered. "Once that happens, we will be trapped in the biodome." Jack looked around nervously. "Then we go now." "Which way?" Zella nodded and led him into a maintenance shaft's mall, cramped and hidden behind a false panel in the wall. The tunnel was hot and smelled like burning copper. As they crawled, Jack finally asked what had been burning in his mind since the start. "Why are you doing this?" "Helping me this much?" Zella stopped crawling. She turned her head slightly. "Because I once helped a dying creature. Bit me and ran." Jack blinked. "That's not a reason." Zella smirked. "No. But now I help again. Because maybe. This time, the creature helps me back." She kept crawling. At the end of the shaft was a metal grate. Zella kicked it open. He climbed out into a dark, massive space filled with glass walls and giant trees. Alien animals walked behind barriers. Glowing plants pulsed with light. This was no prison, it was a living lab. Zoo of rare life forms. They were in the center of it. "This is the core biodome," Zella said softly. "Beyond it is the gravity field, then the outer cliffs." Jack stared at the distant glass wall. "And beyond that? Freedom?" "Yes," she said. "But we must pass undetected. If one drone scans you, alarms will trap us." They moved quickly, hiding behind rock-like structures and massive leafed plants. Twice, security bots flew overhead, their lights scanning left and right. Once, a winged beast growled loudly as they passed its enclosure. Zella whispered a calming chant in her language. It worked. The beast went silent. Finally, they reached a service tunnel, dark and dusty. It led up, but Zella froze. Footsteps, not. Mechanical but heavy, loud, and coming fast. "Guards," she said. They ducked into a side corridor. Jack's heart was pounding. "I can't keep running like this," he whispered. "I need a plan." Zella held out the tear-shaped relic. "Use it. It may respond to you." Jack took the relic and pressed it to the wall. Nothing, but then the wall shimmered. A square section of it became soft, like jelly. Zella gasped. "You opened a relic path," she whispered. Jack stepped forward. "Where does it go?" Zella shook her head. "No one knows. These passages are older than our empire. I didn't have time to think." The footsteps were getting louder. Jack grabbed her hand. "Then we find out." They stepped into the wall. The world blurred. And then they were somewhere else. The room they entered was silent and glowing with a golden light. It was ancient metal trees, floating stones, and writing carved in circles across the floor. No doors, no guards, just silence. Zella turned slowly, eyes wide. "We are inside an ancient relay." Jack looked at her. "What does that mean?" Pointed at a large ring in the center. "If the relic accepts you, it will open a door to another world. A safe world. One no one has touched in many cycles." Jack stepped toward the ring. The relic in his hand pulsed again. The ring lit up. Symbols appeared in the air. A wind began to swirl around them. But behind them, the shimmer wall opened. 3 guards stepped through. Weapons raised. "Do not move." One shouted. Jack hesitated. Zella stepped between him and the weapons. "Shoot him, and the relic dies," she yelled. One of the guards laughed. "Then we take you both." Jack had no choice. He threw the relic into the ring. The air cracked like lightning. A portal opened, a swirling tunnel of stars. Zella grabbed Jack's hand. Now they jumped through. A moment later, the ring went dark. The guards were left behind in silence. On the other side, Jack landed on soft moss. He opened his eyes to a wild, glowing jungle under twin moons. The air was fresh. Stars were unfamiliar. Zella stood beside him, smiling in awe. "You opened a path," she said. "You're not just a specimen." Jack looked at her, breathing hard. "No," he said. "I'm a survivor." The twin moons hung above them like silent watchers. Jack stood beside Zella, surrounded by strange jungle trees that glowed faintly. The air was heavy but clean, filled with alien sounds, steep hums, soft chirps, and whispers that didn't seem natural. The sky looked endless. Didn't feel like just another world. Felt ancient. Zella pointed toward a hill that shimmered with light at the top. "There," she said. "I saw it once before in an old vision. The last known relic. Sight." Jack stared at her. You saw it? In a vision? Zella looked unsure. My people call it a memory echo. Sometimes the relics send dreams, warnings, or calls. They walked carefully through the glowing underbrush. Jack felt something buzzing in the air, not a sound, but a vibration in his bones. Every step closer to the hill made the relic stone. In his pocket pulsed faster, like it was leading him. At the top of the hill, hidden behind thick vines, stood a tall door made of smooth black stone. It had no handles, no buttons, but symbols, some of them glowing faintly, covered the surface. Jack reached out without thinking. The moment his fingers touched the surface, all the lights blinked once. Then the door slowly melted away. Beyond it was silence. A wide, cold hallway stretched forward. The walls were made of metal, but they looked alive. They rippled slightly, like skin underwater. Jack walked inside with Zella close behind him. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Not from temperature, but from something else. Something old. Something watching. Finally, they reached a round chamber. In the center floated a giant sphere made of swirling crystal and metal. It turned slowly, softly humming. Zella gasped. This is the heart of Varnax. The what now? Jack asked. Zella stepped closer. It is said to be the oldest artifact ever found. No one could activate it, not even our kings. Jack moved toward it, and the relic in his pocket flew out on its own. It hovered into the air and clicked into a slot. On the sphere's side, the entire room lit up. A deep voice echoed, not in words, but in feeling. Jack could suddenly understand, not with ears, but inside his mind. Connection accepted. Seed matched. Protocol unlocked. Hybrid path. Zella fell to her knees. It's speaking to you. Jack could barely breathe. The sphere lowered and split open. Inside was a glowing chair like a throne. Sit, Zella whispered. Let it show you. Jack hesitated, then sat. Instantly the chamber vanished from his eyes. Jack saw visions. Worlds being born, stars exploding, civilizations rising and falling in seconds. He saw his own Earth so young compared to others. He saw creatures like Zella building machines that could rewrite matter and twist time. He saw humans. He saw them mixing with others, sharing DNA, merging bloodlines across the galaxy. Jack wasn't just a random human. He was part of a plan. A design older than anyone realized. He snapped out of the vision. His skin was sweating, and his hands were shaking. Zella touched his arm. What did you see? Jack looked at her with wide eyes. I saw everything. I saw why I can activate these things. Humans were never just alone. We were made for this. Zella sat back in shock. That's why the relic reacted, she said. You are part of the forgotten line, the ones born from both. Jack nodded slowly. I'm not just a survivor anymore. I'm connected to something bigger. Suddenly the room flickered. Sharp alarm blared from the sphere. Unauthorized. Trace signal detected. Hostiles inbound. Zella stood up fast. You followed us through the ancient relay. You locked onto your relic. Jack jumped from the seat. Then we can't stay. Zella pointed at the sphere. Take its core. It's our only chance. Jack reached into the center of the throne. The glowing core detached and floated into his hand. As soon as he touched it, it shrank, becoming the size of a coin. It bonded to you, Zella whispered. It chose you. The walls began to shake. Cracks formed. Light shattered. Zella looked at Jack, her voice strong. We run, but next time, we fight. Jack looked down at the relic, then into her eyes. No, he said, next time, how we lead. Asterisk sirens echoed through the jungle sky. Red pulses lit up the horizon like warning flares in the night. From the ancient artifact chamber, Jack and Zella ran through the overgrown path they had come from, but now it felt like the world had changed. The jungle that once hummed softly was roaring with strange energy. Trees twisted, vines moved. Something in the air had shifted. They're coming fast, Zella shouted, clutching her side. Her breath was shaky. She was hurt. Jack looked at her You're bleeding. No time, she said, forcing herself forward. The relay they found a backtrace. They'll shut this entire world down to catch you. Behind them, a massive shockwave blasted through the hilltop they had just escaped. The ancient chamber collapsed like dust. Jack shielded Zella as the air turned white and hot above. A dark ship appeared through the clouds. Long, wide, and silent like a flying fortress. That's a high-caste hunter vessel, Zella said, voice cold. They only send that when they want one thing. What's that? Capture or death? Jack carried Zella through the jungle. Her leg had been cut by a sharp rock during the escape, and she was limping badly. He found a large broken log. To rest behind, Zella leaned against it, gasping. Her skin, once glowing, was now pale. I can't leave you, Jack said. Pulling off a piece of his shirt to stop the bleeding, Zella grabbed his hand. You must. You have the core. You are the only hope now. Jack shook his head. No, you saved me. Trusted me when no one else did. I'm not leaving you behind. A soft beeping came from Jack's belt. The relic core glowed brighter, then flashed 3 times. What is it doing? He asked. Zella looked at it weakly. It's calling for help. Suddenly, a soft wind blew around them, and a new voice echoed not from any speaker, but in the air itself. Emergency Guardian Protocol activated. Out of the trees stepped something massive. Not metal, not flesh. Something in between. It was a guardian, an ancient machine left behind by the creators. Its eyes glowed the same as the core in Jack's hand, knelt before him like a knight. Zella whispered, stunned. No one has seen one of these in centuries. Jack helped her climb onto the Guardian's back. Let's go. They flew through the trees at incredible speed. The Guardian moved like a ghost, avoiding scanners, dodging searchlights, and leaping over cliffs. Behind them, smaller hunter drones gave chase, firing bright blue plasma shots. The Guardian raised a shield. One blast melted on impact, but didn't stop them. Zella held tightly to Jack, her voice weak. We need to reach the gate, the hidden platform. Only that can take us off-world. Jack looked down at the relic in his hand. It keeps showing me images, like a map. Yes, Zella said. Closing her eyes, the relics remember everything, even lost paths. They reached a ridge where the trees ended, revealing a giant metal platform hidden beneath vines and stone. At its center was a crystal tower, dark and cold. Zella pointed. The gate key is at the top. But just as they stepped off the Guardiana, shockwave threw them to the ground. The hunter ship descended from above, releasing armored soldiers. They moved fast, silent, surrounding the platform. One stepped forward, armor black with gold marks. His voice was like broken glass. Human, give us the core. We'll spare the alien. Jack stood slowly, eyes locked on Zlal. She nodded weakly. Don't. Jack turned toward the tower, holding the relic above his head. The lead soldier raised his weapon. Jack shouted, You want it? Then chase me. And he ran up the tower's spiral stairs. Shots fired behind him. Sparks flew. He reached the top, placed the relic into the empty slot, and everything exploded with light. The tower pulsed. The platform shook. A portal opened in the sky, raging with colors Jack had never seen. It pulled at him, lifting him off the ground. The soldiers tried to aim, but the Guardian rose again, smashing them aside. Zella crawled toward the beam of light, barely moving. Jack screamed, Zella, take my hand! She reached, her fingers touched his hand. They were gone. Through the light, through the stars, through something more than space.
Ow.
They landed in a small, quiet clearing. The sky above was filled with floating islands. Zella collapsed into his arms. She looked up at him, smiling faintly. You did it. You opened the gate. Jack held her close and whispered, Now we fight from the other side. Jack opened his eyes slowly. The sky above was not like Earth. Floating islands hovered in the air. Glowing rivers flowed across the sky like silver ribbons. Soft lights moved between the trees like fireflies from another world. He was alive, and Zella was in his arms. She was still, but breathing. Her skin was warm and gang-glowing, faintly with soft silver light. He gently lay her on the mossy ground, and looked around. This place, it didn't feel like any known planet. It felt untouched. Pure, old, like a world forgotten by time. The relic core floated above them, pulsing gently. Then it spoke again, not with sound, directly into Jack's mind. You have crossed the path of creation. This world is sanctuary, hidden, safe. Now, you must choose what to build. Hours passed. Zella awoke with a small gasp. Her eyes wide with confusion, then relief. You carried me, she whispered. Jack smiled softly. You saved me more times than I can count. I owed you at least one. She sat up slowly, looking around. In awe, this is the place for my dreams. But I never thought it was real. Jack looked toward the horizon, where ancient towers floated in the sky like giants sleeping in the clouds. I think this place wants to be found by people like us, he said. People who don't fit the old systems anymore. Zella turned. To him? We're fugitives now. Enemies of the High Council. Can't go back. Jack held up the relic. We don't have to. He pointed to the small device on his wrist, the emergency beacon he had kept hidden since his crash. I modified this with the relic's tech. It can send a message now. One that humans and anyone else searching for freedom can follow. Zella raised an eyebrow. You're inviting others here? Jack nodded. Not just humans. Like you. Anyone like me. The forgotten, the rejected, the survivors. We build something better here. Zella was silent for a moment. Then she smiled a real smile. Wide and warm. I never thought I'd say this to a human, she said, but I want to stay. With you. Jack took her hand gently. Then let's stay. Together. Days passed. They explored the land-unearthing relics, awakening more guardian machines, discovering strange plants that healed Zella's wounds faster than any med-dash kit. They built shelter. A home, piece by piece. Jack learned to use the relics like tools. Doors opened at his touch. Light responded to his thoughts. Even time around them seemed to slow when they needed more of it. Zella taught him her language. Taught her how to cook Earth-style meals with local fruit. She laughed at the taste. He laughed at her laughter. They were no longer just human and alien. They were something new. One evening, soft tone rang out across the jungle. The beacon had been answered. Zella stood beside Jack as a shimmering light appeared in the sky. A small craft descended slowly, quietly. It carried no weapons, just passengers. Tired, scared, curious. Different species. Some with fur, some with feathers, some with scars on their faces and hope in their eyes. Jack stepped forward. Welcome, he said. You're safe here. Months turned to seasons. The floating islands became cities. Guardians walked beside refugees, and at the center of it all was a tall tower, glowing with the same silver light as the relic core. It was called the Nexus. It held a seat that once changed. Jack's life, he didn't use it for power. He used it to listen, to learn, to guide, and by his side. Zella became more than a friend, more than a guide. She became his partner, his light. One night, under the stars of the new world, Zella turned to Jack and said softly, Do you think your people will accept this peace? Jack smiled, wrapping his arm around her. Maybe not at first. One by one, they'll see. This isn't about species anymore. It's about souls. Zella rested her head on his shoulder. Then maybe we really did change the galaxy. Jack looked at the stars. No, he said. We started something bigger.